number? If you asked me, would you like to do this, I would have said, no, you're crazy. In 2005, I had a commission to build the Mother and Child, 30 feet tall. So I knew this building, I knew it was almost entirely empty, and I knew that it had bridge cranes that go up to 10 tons. So I worked there for 8 weeks only. I packed up my tools and I left. And then in 2007 to build Wambatu and everybody, I knew I needed a bigger place, so I rented that whole bay for myself. And then over time I leased other parts of the building for other artists because they would say, I need a space like this too. And then in 2009, I signed a lease for the whole property. Working on the scale, you can only see this much at a time. So it was really important to remember to stop working, get down on the ground, walk 50 feet away and turn around and see the whole context of how everything fits or how everything's developing together. If you don't have a book up there with you, which you don't, and you don't have your drawings or whatever, what you have is yourself. So it's kind of almost like sculpting by braille because you're feeling what you're building and then you're feeling your own arm and trying to make sure you understand how these muscles interact with each other and where they connect and everything.
My name is Scott Attow. I run a company called Attow Fine Art Services. All we do is we work for museums, artists. Basically, we were hired to get these large sculptures ready to be shipped to Brazil. They're varying from about 6,000 to 15,000 pounds. So we had to make a steel framework that they could ride on a boat. So they needed to be easily moved and picked up with a forklift or a crane.
The sculptures on average are 30 feet tall. They weigh between 6 and 9 tons. They are made primarily from salvage materials. And they were built in 3 different stages. Mother and Child were first. As you can tell, I had no idea what I was doing. It's very awkward. They're separate pieces. And they were built to sort of represent passing of culture from one generation to another, passing creativity and all of that from mother to child, and then to continue that. Then 3 others were built. Wambatu, Epiphany, Ecstasy were all built after together, and those with the other 3 together were designed to have a very strong environmental statement about our dependence on oil. Ecstasy is in a moment of absolute enlightenment where there is just pure clarity and peace and joy flowing through her. She's more, I would say, of an emotional iteration of a state that we hope to achieve a lot in life. I would say the same is true for Epiphany. Similar to Ecstasy, she's experiencing a moment of absolute clarity, but for her it's more jubilant and joyful, and she falls to her knees and throws her head back because she's just very suddenly become so enlightened and had such clarity on things.
Okay, it's good.
So part of that installation, which will not be here because it burned, is a 100-foot tall oil derrick. So that was the symbol in our modern culture of a church. That is what we worship now. So each of the kids are in postures of different types of worship to represent people from around the world, because the whole world is impacted by this. Ahmed is representative of the Muslim part of the world, and he's crouched down, bowing with his forehead just about to touch the ground. It was an interesting experiment with him to do more of a decorative, symmetrical, patterned finish on him, which on something of that scale is really kind of challenging. I see him as more of a light kind of spirit. He's definitely more soft-spoken than the others in a lot of ways. The conclusion of the piece actually includes, in place of the burned down oil derrick, a living tree to suggest a more harmonious balance with nature, more respect for nature, and essentially all of these figures now are worshiping nature herself. George's name is actually Humble George. He is a very lovely gentleman. He's very humble. He has a flame in his clasped hands, so his sort of posture of prayer is really enhanced with that effect. He's one of the pieces I can say I learned a lot from, and you can see a progression as the later pieces were built. So Mambatu is in a posture of drawing prayers in the sand, which is practiced in a part of Africa, probably in many places, but that was one that I kind of focused on. He was a lot of fun to work with. I wanted to challenge myself to really sort of exaggerate his lean physique and his height. I haven't actually measured it, but if he were to stand up, he would tower over all of the other figures. And I think using the cable to render his musculature really kind of enhances that effect. I imagined seeing the art sort of disappear over the horizon. There was definitely a longing in me for that to not happen. I guess if you were to say I was a parent of these sculptures, that I would want to know they were going to be well taken care of and loved and in a really good, happy place. As an artist, you want your work to go far and wide. I know that, but still this is a very personal part of my life, and making sure it's the right place and making sure this person is the right person to be the steward of these sculptures was really important to me. The next day I came to work, and usually the weekends around my studio there are lots of families, lots of people taking pictures of the sculptures, and I rode up in my little truck and I sat behind all of these people looking at the art, feeling very traitorous and feeling very certain that I had done the wrong thing. At the same time, as these leave, there's room for more art to be made. So So for that reason, because of they were born to speak for the environment, so the fact that they are coming here, I think, is perfect. They're coming to paradise. They were born in a very, very hard, very gritty, very industrial neighborhood in Oakland, California, and they're surrounded by crazy parrots and monkeys and beautiful landscapes and an amazing community of people. So I know this is all the right stuff for them.